taking her time. She might be sniffing around, and it looks like she's going to grace us with her presence. So Holly's coming on down. She's got ears up. She's a little confused, it looks like. She's got some new smells to get used to. Like I said, we just did our intern switch, so the bears actually really key in on your individual smell and your voice, and so she may be a little confused because that's not the normal person in the red vest giving her food. So yeah, she seems to be a little bit confused by that. So you saw Holly there. She stood up. She flipped her ears forward, and she was just doing a better gauge of her surroundings. I don't think she was expecting some of our new interns to be down here, so she might have been a bit confused by that. That's okay, though, because she will get accustomed to everybody's smell. And you can see she's already trying again. Look at, she's peeking up to seeing what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and try calling her as well. Maybe that'll help her feel a little more comfortable. Holly Bear. Come on, Holly. It's enrichment time. Holly Bear. So you can see she is still hanging out over there. But, yeah, go ahead. And she is just a little bit nervous. That is to be expected. Again, new smells for the bears. So one of the things we say as part of the employee handbook and whatnot is you're not supposed to be wearing colognes and stuff to work, and that's part of the reason for it is the bears will pick up on that stuff. And let's say then you forget one day to bring your cologne or put it on in the morning, that will confuse the bears. They have an incredible sense of smell. It's by their best sense. Now, I told Sid, who was one of the new interns, that why don't you kind of go over behind the fence? And, of course, as soon as she does, now Holly's like, okay, now I'll come down. Again, she must be just a little bit uncomfortable with the new smells and the new folks, and she's still being very, very cautious as she's slowly approaching that enrichment toy. So Holly's going to go ahead and check out some of the other feeders that we have. So right below the deck, there is what we call the stand-up feeder, and it has food in it. So she'll stand right up and eat the food out of there. That'll show you how easy they can get a low-hanging bird feeder. And for those of you out here on the deck with me, she'll be right under your feet. She's quite literally a foot or two beneath the guest's feet when she does that. Now, for the bears, they're big on cost-benefit analysis. It's a lot easier for Holly to stand up and eat that food than it is to manipulate the enrichment toy to get her food out. So she's going to take whatever easiest. And again, that's a little bit easier than the enrichment toy. After she's cleaned out the stand-up feeder, she will most likely go ahead and try the enrichment toy. Today's toy for Holly is a donut, which is basically just a plastic circle. We drilled some holes into it, and that allows us to put food in there and allows Holly here or any of our bears to manipulate that object to get the food out. Now, as you can see, she's finished the stand-up feeder. She's making her way to the enrichment toy. So it's just to the right of that log pile. You can see she's still keeping her wits about her and observing her surroundings. Again, I believe that the reason she was a little cautious was just because of some unfamiliar staff and smells. But she'll get used to everybody in the next coming days as she realizes, again, our other interns have left and we have new interns. So if anyone needed any proof that the bears can pick up on individuals, I think that's proof right there. Again, she wanted to come down to get some food, saw an unusual face, an unusual smell, and decided, I'm not going to come down, and it freaked her out a little bit. Again, the bears do have very individual personalities as well. Some of that would include individual food habits. So we know that certain bears here at the center don't like certain foods, and we're wasting money in food if we feed those bears those foods. So we try to keep track of who likes what so that we're not wasteful with our food supply for the bears. Now you can see Holly's moved that donut around a little bit to get some more of that food out. Bears also have an incredibly long and sticky tongue, which allows them to stick it into cavities to get food items out. Now, the female bears are a lot smaller than the male, so their tongues tend to be smaller as well. But the bigger male bears may have tongues up to about 12 inches long. A bear like Holly here might have a tongue closer to 8 inches long, but again, it is very long, and it's especially sticky. And that's so that those food items stick to the tongue. Now, even though Holly here has a bunch of her food laying on the ground and there's other dirt and debris on the ground, Holly's only going to get what she wants. Black bears are highly selective feeders, so even though she might pull some of that dirt or debris in her mouth, she's able to filter through it with her teeth, lips, and tongue and spit out all the stuff she doesn't want. Again, it's a highly selective feeding behavior. Now, also, they'll try to avoid using their paws whenever possible. This will allow them to conserve a large amount of energy over the course of the summer. And if they use their lips and tongue to do most of the foraging, again, there'll just be less energy they have to spend lifting their paws. So after she's done with this enrichment, we'll try to get her to climb up one of these trees for a trolley. So you can see there's some wooden platforms on those trees. We put some food on there, wheel it over to the tree, and the bears usually will climb up to get that food. So once she's finished here, we'll go ahead and give that a go. Again, because of that expert cost-benefit analysis they have, it really pays nothing to do it right now because, again, to climb the tree for food is a lot more energy than to flip around this plastic toy to get the food. So they're very good at that. As soon as she's realized all the food that she wants is gone, that's when we'll go ahead and fill up that tree feeder, and then she'll maybe consider climbing. And we do have Lucky out as well. He hasn't shown up yet. But he may come down at any time. So if you do see Lucky come down, you may get to see some interactions between the bears. Although Lucky and Holly get along for most of the year, right now they're not getting along perfectly, so they do tend to vocalize with one another, and one may chase the other off. So keep your eyes out for Lucky on the edge of the woods there. He may show up. And again, especially because we're nearing the end of the broadcast, and that is typically when Lucky shows up. So I would assume at some point here he may be sauntering on down. Go grab that bucket, the chair took inside, and we'll fill up that solid feeder. She's just about done. That chipmunk just shot right between her legs, so there's an example of they're not so smart chipmunks. Now, you notice Holly didn't really care. Again, that's a lot of work for her to just worry about every single chipmunk that comes by to reach out and squish them. If she's actively eating and they steal from her, yeah, again, she might not appreciate that. She might reach out and squish them. But again, that's a lot of extra work. So you can see how fast those squirrels and chipmunks are. Holly is about 300 pounds, so if she were to spend the time chasing one of those chipmunks, that's a lot of energy to burn. And let's say she catches one, that's about a half mouthful of food for Holly. That's not going to give her the energy back she just expended. All right, so it's really just not worth their time, or it's not really a menu item for them right now. I've worked at the Bear Center now for almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years this October, and I've never seen one of the other bears eat another animal. We do give them all a raw chicken egg in the morning as part of their breakfast, which is a natural food. They do regularly raid waterfowl nests when they are available, and we kind of replicate that as well. But otherwise, we've never seen the bears eat other animals. We have seen Holly especially kill the chipmunks and squirrels for stealing from her pile of peanuts. But again, they never bother to eat them. They just take the peanut back that they stole. So it's a food defense behavior. They're not interested in eating the chipmunk. Meat is a really low preferred food on the list of preferred foods by the black bear, especially this time of year. In the spring, it is more preferred, but right now it is very, very least preferred. Now you can see Holly here is smelling, all right? And she does that by lifting her head higher in the air. And you also notice that she opens her mouth sometimes. The bears have a very specialized organ located at the roof of their mouth. It's not specific to bears, but theirs is highly specialized. It's known as a Jacobson's organ or as a Vollmer-Nassel organ. It dramatically increases the sense of smell that the bear has. So bears have one of the best senses of smell in the entire animal kingdom because of that specialized organ. So if she opens her mouth, she increases the amount of airflow over the roof of the mouth, which is where the organ's located, and that in turn increases her sense of smell. They have roughly a 7 times greater sense of smell than a bloodhound dog. All right, so that's an incredible sense of smell. It's by far their best sense, and they use it to find food, to sense danger and their surroundings. Bears can quite literally smell food items from multiple miles away. So again, an incredible sense of smell. A good way to describe it, or a way I can compare it so people can kind of visualize or kind of theorize how that works, is if you're ever going down the highway and someone has hit a skunk, oftentimes you're in your car and you can smell the skunk before you pass it on the side of the road. Usually maybe a half a mile before you pass it, you're like, oh, it stinks. And then a couple miles after you pass the skunk, you can still smell it. That's how a bear pretty much smells everything. They quite literally have a field of vision that gets created because of their sense of smell is so, so extreme. So it looks like Holly's almost finished up with her enrichment toy. Again, after that, we're going to go ahead and fill the trolley feeder in hopes that she'll climb for us. Again, that's really up to her, whether she climbs or not. We'll put a little bit of a food reward up there for her, so hopefully she'll climb on up there. I'm going to go ahead and sign off and wrap up the broadcast for everybody. Thanks for those of you tuning in here at the center, and thanks for visiting today. For those of you tuning in online, we appreciate your support from afar. And don't forget, for those of you here at the center today, that we do this program every day at 12:30 on our Pond Cam. Again, welcome new interns, our 3 new fall interns. We're super excited to have you here. I'm looking forward to getting to you doing these programs here pretty soon. But we're still in the training process, so those of you who are tuning in daily for our broadcast, you're going to have to get used to my voice for the next few days, again, because I will be doing most of the broadcast for a little while. And again, a awesome farewell and goodbye to our former interns. We did appreciate everything you did for us. You guys were very hard workers, and we noticed, and we surely appreciate all the work you did for us above and beyond the bar. And now for these new interns and future interns, the bar has been set rather high, so we do appreciate you and everything you've done for us here. With that, I am going to go ahead and wrap it off with, again, thanks everyone for coming out today. I'll leave you with Holly eating some more food, and again, we will be trying to get her to climb up the tree here very shortly. Thanks everybody for coming out, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.